We're back to see my favorite dehumidifier. Last video I had on this, we had a control board failure, and the bearings were bad in the blower motor. So we're out here to replace the blower motor and the control board, and we'll get this thing up and running, and I'll take you through some of it. This is Dectron or Dryotron. The thing was put up here in 2013. And also last time we were out, it was extremely hot in the room, but the breakers on this panel, or the old panel that was here, my one breaker for the circulation pump was 140 degrees. I'm surprised it was still running. It was only pulling like 6 amps, but the breaker was 140. Come to find out, just kind of feeling the breakers, they were warm. So he called his electrician. They came out and they actually found under this breaker for the circulation pump was all charred. The panel was in here for 20 years, and we're in kind of a spa area, and the panel corroded, and luckily we caught it because of it could cause fire. So luckily we caught that before it did do anything. So let me get started. I got to get the blower motor out. I'll take you through some of that process too. Okay, we're at the other side of the unit here. This is where all the fun happens. We got to get that blower motor out of there. But the space I got to get into, that's like 8 feet off the ground and a little cubby hole. So let me start to get this motor out of here. I gotta undo those bolts. And those right there. Actually, the thing looks like it's sitting cocked. You notice I don't have any space there, but I got some space here, so the motor's sitting like this. So let me get this out, get it on the wire, and we'll get the new one in and we'll line it up. These bearings seem okay, but if you listen, you really can't hear it. Those bearings are just shot. Okay, let me get this motor off here. I got the motor out, and I got the pulley off. It's a 2-piece motor pulley. Pretty decent size. But here's the new motor. So no play in the shaft. Here's the old motor. I think my bearings are bad. Yeah, it's definitely toast. I'm just starting to get this thing back together. So I got to get the motor pulley on here. I'm gonna kind of sand the glaze off of this. Right here, starting to get a little groove on the pulley. But let me get that sanded so it's not so glazed. And we'll get it back together. But yeah, that's a sign of a bad bearing on your motor there. You got front to back play and up and down. Let me get it back together. Let me show you something on the wiring. We're wiring for 208, 230. So my P1's L1. My P2 is capped. T3, T8, T2 all tie together, and T4 and T5 are L2. I had to switch T5 with T8 to get clockwise rotation. So if you look back here, there's my P2, that's capped. T2, T3, and T5. T2, T2, T3, T5. So there's my clockwise rotation. Switched it with T8 and T4. So T4 and T8. Switched it for the rotation. So T8 and T4 go together. So that's my line 2. My line 1 is P1. So that's P1. Now if we were to wire it up 120, I'd still have these. The T5, let's see, which one do they? T2, okay, so T2 and T4 and T5 are together. But the T5 would have to switch with the T8 to get my rotation. So we got line 1 coming in here, and there'll be my neutral there. We got the pulley sanded up. Let me get the pulley on, we'll get this motor up there. Start aligning it. Well, right now I got the motor on there, I got it wired up. Trying to, I pulled the blower housing out just so I can kind of eye it up to find out, you know, it's got to be trued up. So right now if you look at it, I got this gap right here. See how the belt looks like it's pulling over this way? It's kind of hard to tell on camera, but it's not. It's the belt is actually going on an angle out. So I got to move that motor over that way. Get it nice and true. So we don't get uneven wear on the belt. And that's probably why the bearings failed, because the last motor was not aligned right. So let me get that moved over, get the motor tightened up, the housing back in, and I want to get this cleaned up a little more. I got to spray that condenser coil off on the back side of that coil. It's all cake full of dirt, so they're doing construction in here, and a lot of it bypassed through the bypass damper right there onto the coil. They didn't have a filter in here for some unknown reason at that time, or maybe they did, and it was just clogged and getting just some bypass, not sure. But let me get this belt and motor aligned, these pulleys aligned, and then get it back together, and I'll see if I can start working on the control board. Alright, we got the fan housing back in. We got everything tightened up. Before I go tightening anything, I want to make sure to check amp draw. Got to make sure my pulley's where it should be, because that's going to determine my amp draw on how fast this motor is running. So I got to stay within, I think got to be about 6.7 amps, 6.5 amps. So I'm not going to adjust the belt just yet. Once I get the thing up and running and I get the board in, then I'll adjust the belt and the pulley to get my proper amp draw. But we got it all lined up, all backed in, kind of cleaned it up a little. Had metal shavings all over from the other bearings. So let me get down out of here and start working on the board. Alright, now we're changing the board on this thing, and as you can see, holy smokes, there's a lot of connections. And luckily, these connections, they're in terminal blocks. So basically, I just got to pull the terminal blocks off and slide the new board on. This is really a bummer trying to change all the wires out of here. So let me get the new board on. All I'm going to do is, there's some little nylon connectors here, pull the board off, put the new one on, and then we will try to start this thing up. Okay, we got the board in, and as you see, I just took the terminal blocks, took them off, and put them on a new board, and I'm hoping that's going to work. Because I hope I don't have corrosion in my terminal blocks. But we'll see what happens. And I did put a little dielectric grease on there just for to protect it from corrosion. Because as you see on this other board, I'm starting to get corrosion around the terminals. So I just laid some grease across here, and when I put the terminal block on, I just pushed it on there, and hopefully that prevents from corrosion. Like I said, we still have to check our blower motor amp draw, make sure I'm within specification, and we'll see if we can get this thing started up. Okay, right now blower motor's running 7 point, let's see, let's hit max. 7.3 max. So I got to adjust that blower motor. I got to adjust the pulley out to get a lower amp draw. So I want to be right about between 6.4 and 6.7. That's running at 7.3 right now. I gotta have 6.7, so I gotta drop it probably just less than a amp. So I'll shut that down, and then I'll get over to the other side and adjust it. It's a real pain in the butt to get to. Okay, we got it up and running. I did a pulley adjustment, and I adjusted the belt tension. And now we're down to 6.31, so we're within specifications in the motor. But this one's all set. We had to replace the board, the blower motor, and it's taken probably 5 hours to do. The blower motor gave me a little hassle, but yeah, this is up and running. All right, guys, like and subscribe.